Okay, let's put together a React application. So we can do this really easily. Now, you will have to have installed Node, like in the last lesson. So follow those instructions to make sure that you've got Node installed on your computer. And if you've had any issues in doing so, make sure that you reach out to one of the instructional team to get it sorted. Otherwise, the rest of this lesson will not work for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to create kind of all of the files and folders and download some dependencies, some other bits of software onto our computers that will then allow us to kind of put together this React application. So the way that we can do that, now I haven't got any starter code here for this lesson because we're going to create that ourselves. So what we want to do is we want to navigate to our classwork folder. So I will say cd dev. Go into my dev folder and then cd classwork. Classwork, and just make sure I'm in the right one. We've got all of our past lessons and stuff like that in there. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use the command npx create -react -app. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you going and copying and pasting this from the text that's underneath this video. When it comes to putting commands into your file system, you do need to be really careful that you're not kind of downloading malicious code and stuff like that. But one of the ways that people have exploited things in the past and kind of got viruses and stuff onto people's computers in the past is they've sort of made typos and put these things out in the real world that will then download malicious code for you. So be really careful, but at the same time, copying and pasting ensures that you don't accidentally put a typo in there. Now, this isn't something that's inherently dangerous. Don't worry about it too much, but you do need to be really careful with what you're actually putting into your terminal. So no worries. Let's just go ahead and do npx space create react app, and then don't press enter yet. We want to add another space, and then we're going to add the name of the React application that we want to create. So this could be anything. This could be my portfolio. This could be facebook.com. This could be whatever it is that we actually wanted to build. But in these lessons, what we're going to be making is a little kind of pizzeria style place, or almost like an online menu for a pizzeria, but with lots of people that can add pizzas to it and stuff like that. It's going to be fun. Anyway, so I'm just going to create the -pizzeria, like that. Cool. So once we've got that full command in, we're going to go ahead and hit return or hit enter. Now, this could take a while. It's downloading a bunch of kind of other bits of software. So depending on how fast your internet connection is, how fast your Wi-Fi is, wherever you are, or your cable connection is, it could take a while to download all of these things. Also, just with how much your computer is kind of dealing with as well at the moment, it's kind of installing quite a lot of stuff and kind of creating files and folders and stuff like that. So for example, I'm recording on this computer at the moment, so my CPU is already being used. So, it could take me a while. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pause my video here, and then I'll be back when it's completely installed. Don't worry if this takes quite a while for you as well. Okay, so that's mine done. Hopefully you have something similar in front of you as well. So you'll have seen it kind of putting some like template packages, and it's initialized a Git repository for us. It's put some template dependencies on and added 64 different packages and stuff like that. When we go down here, just something to bear in mind is that we've got, it says here 8 vulnerabilities. Don't really worry about this. So these are just kind of packages that have been flagged as possibly vulnerable with possible vulnerabilities, but this package is, or this kind of React is being run in huge businesses right now with these vulnerabilities, these so-called vulnerabilities in there. So don't worry too much about that. If there were things that if they became problems, kind of the level that we're at the moment, they'd probably kind of get sorted before they actually became an issue. So don't worry too much about these vulnerabilities. It's not actually something that you need to be worried about right now. So just as well, this 262 packages are looking for funding. Again, don't worry about this either. So everything that we've just downloaded is open source software. We do not need to pay a penny for it. However, all of the people that have developed these pieces of software would very much like a donation from you. You know, they would not turn down a few pounds or a few dollars to say thank you for all of the hard work that they've done on this software. The problem is what used to happen is you'd put a little advert as you were installing, you know, in the installed kind of script of your package. You'd put a little advert saying, "Hey, we're such and such team. Give us some dollars, please, because we hope that you like this software. You know, please give us some money." The problem is that React uses 262 packages, or well, actually, it uses a lot more. Sorry, but 262 of them have got these little adverts in, and installing stuff like this when you're going through every single advert would be an absolute pain. So what npm has done is it said, "Hey, I'm going to not hide these, but also you need to run a command if you want to see which packages are actually looking for funding." Anyway, that's enough kind of talking about what just happened. Let's actually go ahead and start coding. So if we just do a quick ls here we're in our classwork folder, and you'll see that we've got this folder now, the pizzeria. Fantastic. So if we just scroll up a little bit so that I've got everything in show, it's saying, hey, what you should do is you should cd change directory into the pizzeria, into the package, into the React app that we've just made, and then run npm start. Okay, well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it in kind of 2 steps because I want to have a quick look around first. But what we're going to do is we're going to do cd the pizzeria. No, we don't want to go into the DOM. Although there's kind of an ironic joke there, I suppose. So we're going to go into the pizzeria. And let's go ahead and open this up in VS Code. So code space dot. And this will probably open on my second screen. It actually does. Oh, here it is, right in front of me. So let's have a look at what has actually been created here. Let me just zoom in a little. So we've got some node modules, and this is just where kind of all of our packages and where kind of all of the software in the background of React is kept. Don't worry too much about these. If you do everything correctly, you should never need to look at this. It's only when you get into really advanced stuff that you might need to go and have a look at something in your node modules. So we've got a public folder here, and we'll have a look at that in a moment. And we've got a source folder. And this is kind of where our kind of React application that we are building will live. We'll probably do very little in this public folder. But just to have a quick kind of whistle-stop tour through the React app before we actually start programming anything, we've got a little favicon, which is just the little icon that's in like the tab of your browser. So you can change this to, I don't know, a big picture of your face or an emoji or something like that. We've got a couple of logos here, and these are just on, we'll see these in a moment, but we will actually be deleting these. We've got something called a manifest.json. Again, for this for this little bit of the unit 2, we're not going to be interacting with this. This is just for if you want to make what's called a progressive web app, and that's where you can kind of download the website to your phone as an application to make it a bit more like an app-based website. Again, we're not going to be looking at this just yet, but we'll come to it later on. We also have a robots.txt, and this is basically just where you can say to Google when it's crawling your website, you can say ignore these bits of my website if I don't want those to appear on Google or on search engines, etc. And let's just go back to our index.html here. Now, this is the actual kind of the website, if you like. Now, this is what gets delivered to your browser along with kind of the rest of this code. But this is the only HTML that the browser will receive. It will have to create the rest of our website using JavaScript. In fact, we've got this little no script tag here. Now, if you've been following us on Instagram, you may have seen this come up as one of our little HTML essentials. So we've got this no script tag that just says, hey, I'm sorry, but you need to use JavaScript in order to run this app. You know, we can't give people a React application if they can't run JavaScript. It's necessary for it to work. So basically, yeah, and then we've got this ID, this div of root, and this is where our kind of React application will be built. Great, so that's the public folder. Very unlikely that we're ever really going to come back to the public folder. It's the src that we are actually going to be writing all of our code in. So we've got two JavaScript files that we're going to be looking at in a little bit more detail. We've got the index.js, and again, we shouldn't really need to do an awful lot in here. But this is, if you like, the entry point of our application. This is kind of the first JavaScript file that actually runs. And it's from here that it kind of says, hey, go ahead and render to our front end this app that we've got here. Now, what is app? Well, we can see that we're importing app from ./app. So from this folder /app, it's this app.js here. So this is actually what is being delivered to our web page. We're going to be going into this in a lot more detail, so don't worry if this looks completely weird and doesn't make an awful lot of sense right now. So what was it saying in our terminal? So it said what we should try and do is use npm start. Absolutely. Now, what I'm going to do is we could go back to our terminal here and we could run that code here. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to open up a new terminal in VS Code so we can do it kind of all in one interface. So a little bit of a shortcut on Mac, and I think it's the same on Windows. We will use Control, Shift, and backtick, and that will bring up a new terminal here right in VS Code for us. And you'll see it's even kind of CD'd to this folder for us. So any commands that we run here will be run within this folder. Excellent. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll say npm start. So if I hit this, if I hit return now, again, this might take a little time. It says starting a development server. Now on my second screen, a web browser has actually just opened up. And what we should end up with is you can now view the pizzeria in the browser. Wonderful. So locally, we can go to http://localhost:3000. And in fact, that has already opened up for us, that localhost:3000. Wonderful. And we've got this kind of website here for us. Yep, looks lovely, but we're going to make our own. So I'm just going to make my screen a two-sider so that I can flick between the screens. I may just need to zoom out a little bit on this as well. So inside this app.js, what I want you to do is I want you to click into it somewhere, and I want you to use Command or Control A to highlight everything and then just delete it all. So if we save that now and we go back to our web browser, you'll see that we have this completely blank page with absolutely nothing on it. That's because even though we could have edited that code, I would much rather go through it line by line to get a proper understanding of what everything does. What I want to do is just to create kind of the most basic web page in the world. Just, hi, this is my website, and a H1 at the top of our page. So what I'm going to do, the way that we build things in React is we don't just go ahead and write HTML for each page, we write components. Now, each one of these components is a function. We'll get into it a little bit more about how they kind of work together, but right now, what we want to do is we want to kind of return just a H1 of, hi, this is my website, to our React application and say, go ahead and render this on our web page. So the way that we could do that is inside this app.js, I'm going to write a little function. So we'll say function, and this will be our app. And it's a function, so we'll need some parentheses. We don't need any parameters or anything in there at the moment, and then some curly brackets. Now, what we want to do is we want to return from here a string. We want to return some HTML. So we'll say return, and then what we can do is we can just add some parentheses here. Now, you may or may not have done this previously, but we can actually add some parentheses and then return a whole bunch of stuff. It's still one thing that we're returning, but it's kind of lots of lines of code. Now, what I want to do is I want to say H1, hi, welcome to my website. Excellent. So if we save that now, nothing has happened. We've got an error. So the element type is invalid. It's expected a string or a class or function. Okay. Well, what we need to do here is we've written our function, but we actually need to export it so that React can kind of go ahead and use it. So under here, what we'll say is we will say export default app. So what we're saying is go ahead and as a default, whenever this kind of file is imported into something, we just want you to go ahead and use this app function here. So if I save that now, we've not got any errors, and let's head back to our website. Hey, hi, welcome to my website. Fabulous. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, that's all very well and good, but why have we use all of these lines of code when actually all we want is this, considering we've got a whole index.js, we've got, testing, we've got, this whole public folder. Well, that's because we're going to be using an awful lot more of React in the coming lessons. But for now, fantastic. You've just created your first React web page. I wouldn't quite put React on your CV just yet, but you're well on your way to being able to use it. So just as a little recap then. So we've used npx create React app, and then the name of the app that we want to create, to put together all of these files and folders for us. It's also downloaded a load of packages or bits of software that will run and kind of make React work, if you like. We've also then written a functional component, this app component, which just renders to the browser, hi, welcome to my website. Excellent.